Hey everybody, welcome back to Plot Twist, the channel where we talk about everything reading, writing, and plot. Today I'm actually going to do something a little bit different from my book reviews and my commentary on that. I'm going to talk about a specific type of book, actually, a specific genre, if you will. So anyway, let's get started here. So, it's no surprise if you've been watching my channel, or even just seen one video, I make it pretty clear that I love animals. And I've always loved animals, and I've always loved reading as well. So obviously when the two combine, they're one of my favorite types of stories. My first introduction to this kind of story was, of course, Redwall, which I'm sure many of you probably have read as well. Redwall was my first real introduction to stories from animal perspectives, and because of this became one of my favorite types of books. A lot of people would consider them childish because we have things like Redwall. And you know, to be fair too, most kids' books revolve around an animal perspective. I think it's just easier for kids to understand because humans tend to be a little bit too complex. Obviously they're not going to be interested in adult stories and things like that. For the most part, I was weird. But we'll get into that in another episode. That said, hello Dritz. We good? Sweet boy. As I was saying, many people consider books from an animal's perspective as childish, and maybe that's because it all started with Aesop's fables. We consider these childish because obviously it's not real. We can't exactly go into an animal's perspective and expect them to talk like us, and things like that. But I think, honestly, they're one of the most valuable types of books, and this isn't just bias, by the way, this is something that I really do believe, because it teaches people to understand perspectives other than their own. And I know a lot of people, for instance, when it comes to books like books like Watership Down, where the message is usually man bad, humans bad, they take everything, and yes, we do, honestly, like, it's not wrong, but I understand that a lot of people, are kind of tired of that. And, well, it's something I think children should be introduced to, especially at a younger age, because it's something that they need to understand about the world. And it's a good way to introduce them to concepts of life not being fair without really giving them something too harsh to deal with. And in the matter of something more adult, like when we get for this book, which I featured in the book tag video, we get something a little bit more adult with this. We get perspectives of horses. And then, most recently, something like Hollow Kingdom by Kira Jane Burton? I think it's Burton. Where we get something far more adult, just because of all the cursing that goes on in here, where we can get animal perspectives for more adult audience. And I think, above all, these are probably more important, because as adults, what tends to happen is we tend to forget that animals have their own intelligence. We forget that they have their own voices, and even though we may not speak the same language, they do have feelings, they understand pain. For the most part, they understand humans as well. Obviously some wild animals understand us less, but you know, your dog or cat at home, they understand pretty well what you want, what you're talking about. They may take it differently, but they, for the most part, understand. Like, they understand when food time is, they understand bedtime, they understand our schedules, they understand that we love them, and they love us in return, for the most part. That would be the crux of what I want to get into today, is how important it is to keep writing books with animal perspectives. And these don't necessarily have to be real animals either. We can always have perspectives from things like dragons or unicorns, like within The Last Unicorn, actually, by Peter S. Beagle. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot that name. And even though it's not entirely in her perspective, just something where an animal is a main character, I think is really good for adults to read. And this is primarily because it, again, teaches us about different perspectives, but it also keeps in mind that literature doesn't have to be set in stone when it comes to human emotions. So we can have more fantastical elements to them. We can have more fun with books. We don't have to, you know, have these hardcore, gritty grim, dark stories about people fighting in wars and dying and stuff like that. And while those are great books, some of my favorite books are those types of books, it's always good to let loose a little bit and to relax, have fun. I'm so glad you two are featuring so much here. So yes, we need to relax more. We need to remember how fun it was to go into something like Silver Wing by Kenneth Ople and just take a flight with a bat. We need to remember what this felt like. And I think animal books like this are great for adults to reread as well, because you look back on them and you remember these adult themes that happened. And like I said before, reading books like this allow for heavy themes to be presented to children in more manageable methods. For instance, like in Watership Down, we have bunny murder quite often. We have bunny, I guess Hitler is probably the best option for him, but we have those things, relationships, brotherhood, things like that. Yeah, so it's just really important, I think, for our growth, and as I said, to go back to. So I do want to challenge my viewers at this point to go back and reread a kid's book. It doesn't have to be little kids, it doesn't have to be The Rainbow Fish or anything like that. But go back, read Redwall, read Silver Wing, read Watership Down. The Animals of Farthing Wood is a wonderful book. I have that book, it's just in storage at the moment. So go back, reread those novels, and remember what it was like to not care about realism, to not care about being right all the time, to not care that a mouse and an otter are two hugely different sizes that can still fit in the same building. Don't worry about it. Let reality go. And I think that's something that we need to do, especially during these times when, politics are going wild. There's wars everywhere. There's, people fighting people, people hating people just for being different, things like that. It's really important to go back to these themes and just remember the lessons that they were really trying to teach us. They were trying to teach us camaraderie, trying to teach us to love each other for our differences. They were trying to teach us that being different is okay, that being smaller, being darker, being whatever is okay. And they were trying to teach us that no matter how small you are, no matter how different you are, no matter what your dreams are, that you can overcome any obstacle, that you can overcome your darkest fears, and that you can become something important. You may not become something important to the world, but you will become something important to your world. And I think that's something that we need to focus on as well. We need to stop fighting people on, becoming the best you can be. Not everybody's going to be an entrepreneur. Don't forget to become the most important thing in your world. And I think that's something that these books from animal perspectives really do teach us, is that we're just human. And that's because these animals act like us, It lets us know that it doesn't matter what skin you're wearing, it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter how many paws you have or wings or anything like that, you can still exhibit these traits. It's something very important to hold on to. And I think that's something that people tend to overlook when they're thinking about these animal books. So you just get true human experiences. And I think that's the most magical thing about these books. And that's why I love them so much. Because Matthias, he's a mouse. He's a little mouse. But he can be somebody just like me. And that's my favorite thing about these books, is that these animals can be anybody. They can be just like you. So, as I said before, I want to challenge my readers. I want to challenge my viewers to go back, find a book, pick up Watership Down and read it again. Maybe it's boring, maybe the pacing's slow, but just remember what it feels like to be a kid following a group of rabbits and having an adventure. So that would be my video for today. I know it was a little shorter this time, but it was just I really just wanted to talk about animals in books, and I'm sorry if I seemed a little out of it. I didn't really even have a script for this, so I didn't really know what I was going to talk about. That's why I rambled a little bit in the beginning there. But I hope the point gets through. None of my videos are really scripted. I just kind of go in and I just start talking, and that's about it. So, forgive me for being rambly. So anyway, today, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, for the most part, and have a great day and keep reading. Thank you.